What is going on, everybody? Welcome out to the garage. It is a cool 9 degrees outside, which means it's officially winter here. But we've warmed up the garage so we can come out and play with a couple of these mini bikes. These are a Tote Goat mini bike, a doodlebug, baja, whatever. Chinese-made somethings that my sister picked up from my nephews and asked me to fix them up for her so that she can give them to them and they can enjoy them, ride them around, and enjoy the crap out of them. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. I don't know how long they've been sitting, but it's clearly been a while. The fuel lines have all split out and started leaking. The gas smells horrendous. There's flat tires. The seats are in need of a lot of love, so we'll reupholster the seats. Might make an episode out of that, who knows. It depends how it goes, I guess. And the plastics are all faded. We'll put some back to black and shine them up. We'll just make these things rideable and fun again. So with that, let's get into the fuel system and start making these things run, because it should only take about 3 things to get them running, and that's air, fuel, and spark. Compression definitely plays that bigger role, but we're just gonna ignore that for now and hope that they have compression. I imagine so. It's not like they blew up or the lady got rid of them because they blew up. Most people park them because their kids grow out of them, or the kids are no longer interested, or they're a pain in the butt to start, so they just park them and walk away, forget about them. So these are always available on the internet and on buy-sell trade pages, so if you're interested, you can pick them up for dirt cheap and play around with them and see if you can't get them running yourself. So let's jump into these. Like I had mentioned earlier, we got split fuel lines. You can see they're all cracked out around here, so they've mostly all leaked out. So gonna go ahead and swap a couple of these things on. I'll probably take the tank off and flush it, because I'm sure there's some bad gas in there. Let's try to take the gas cap off. Oh. Just kidding. I'm gonna find a pair of pliers and see if I can't get that bad boy off of there. Alrighty, so it took getting a pipe wrench on here to break this thing loose, and even still it's a bit crunchy. Probably just gonna ruin this gas cap. Not surprised. What a pile. Whew, that's nice. So the rubber has become one with whatever's in the tank. Another plastic piece here, so that lets you know how brittle these things are. It kind of just looks like it was a filter at one point, but it's bone dry in there-ish, so that's good. We'll just flush out that filter and whatnot and get this rubber gasket off here and get a new cap, or at least a new rubber for the cap, so we can keep this on the cheap. Alrighty, unfortunately the heater kicked on while I was filming this, but this thing happened to crack and break off, and it looks like somebody's been in here before. These edges of this nut are all rounded off. It might have been leaking here before or whatever. I'm sure they make this part, or that we can come up with something. It's a typical kind of gas tank for a lot of different applications, a small motor like lawnmowers and whatnot. This is the reason our gas cap didn't want to come off. That plastic had welded itself to here and they became one, so it didn't want to come off. And I think that's probably what happened here with my little hose that attached directly to the carb. Now there is a little bit of fuel sitting directly there, which kind of scares me. It makes me think that there's a whole bunch of crap just stuck in the carb. And one way to check is you got your float bowl down here. We can go ahead and crack this loose and see what comes out of there and hope it's clean. But like I said, these have been sitting for quite some time and I kind of doubt it. But let's have a look. And that is on there. That is not good. This should be easy to take off. Nada. It's really leaking out of there slow. And it is brown, so we're probably gonna just pull this carb off at least the float bowl and take a look in there. That's just kind of how these projects go. Sometimes you end up digging a lot deeper than you wanted to. The lying issues are deeper, or when things sit with fuel in them, this is a common problem. The carburetor gets all blocked up and you have to rebuild it. I think they make super cheap replacement carbs for these, but I'll just drop this float bowl and see what's inside of there. If it looks clean, we'll just go ahead and try it. We'll trust that the jets are still clear, but you never know. It's just one of those things. How deep do you want to go? So I tried to blow through the fuel supply side into the carburetor with the float bowl off, and there is nothing passing through this carburetor, which means there's jets or whatever plugged off. It doesn't matter whether I have it choked, the governor open, or the throttle open. There's just no flow through the carburetor, which means this wouldn't run if we just fixed the tank. So we're diving deeper. That's just how this goes. So we'll go ahead and pull this carb off and take a look what's in there. I'm gonna go ahead and make this short length of hose that was there that went to the fuel tank. It's a good idea to take pictures or just go ahead and make the lines as you go. That way your routing is still the same. You don't end up with a bunch of parts and no idea how to put them back together. So I'm gonna get these lengths cut and put on there as I pull the carb off. As far as being an air filter, that is not something you want to see. And stuff piled up against your carb. That's not looking good, guys. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of crap that's built up on this carb. And I can't imagine this thing was running very good. And more of that nasty fuel coming out of there that's real brown. Yeah, I just cracked off the float bowl here, and you can see that there is some serious crud in there. I mean, it is sticky, and that's the problem with modern day fuels. I call it corn juice. That ethanol that's in your fuel, that's what it does when it sits. It gums up and creates a tar-like substance, and it will ruin injectors. It will plug up carburetors, you name it. It's some nasty, gooey stuff, and it's not easy to get clean again. Just showing you some of the results of this nasty tar type stuff. Obviously where the fuel's been sitting, it's there. I mean, it is tacky. It's a lot like tar. The float's going up and down, but the needle seat is not. And I can push on it and it slowly starts to move. And there's a lot of resistance. There shouldn't be that much resistance in there. There's just more of that tar keeping that seat gummed up and not allowing it to flow properly. So this carb's gonna have to be completely torn down and all that crap cleaned out of there. So to take that out, it's real simple. You just slide your float pin to the side and start gingerly walking there it goes. That up. And you can see more of that tar. There's supposed to be an orifice there and it's all plugged up. It's just, that stuff is everywhere. It's disgusting. And it's keeping this thing from running. Alrighty everybody, here's the reality. I was looking for a rebuild kit for this as far as jets and needles go. And I actually found the carb plus the twist throttle I'm gonna need to replace on this for under 20 bucks. It's actually $18 to swap all that out. So rather than try and rebuild this carb, there's a brand new one plus the twist throttle. I think I'm gonna go that route. I might still just dip this in there so we have a backup and see if it cleans out. But in the meantime, let's roll the other bike over here, do the same thing essentially, see if it's got the same problem with the carb. I know it has the same problem with the twist throttle, and maybe we just swap everything out. Or maybe we won't have to. We'll just have to see. Alrighty, essentially same bike, most likely same issues. This one, the gas cap, as I throw it on the ground, actually came off. The rubber is okay. So probably get another gas cap. That way it's not leaking. The nipple's still okay on this one, but same issue. We got a whole bunch of gummed up crap sitting on the carb here. So, we'll just go ahead and pull the, oh, look at that. That tar-like substance, that's gonna let me know that this carburetor is gonna need the same thing. I'll just leave this one together as a reference so that I don't lose out any routing of anything. I kind of have a roadmap for my other one. I'll go ahead and get that carb and stuff ordered, and we'll get back to it. While I am waiting on parts, however, I'm gonna go ahead and try and replace the pull string on this guy. At some point it obviously got snapped off, and that might have been the reason this one got parked. Not sure, but go ahead and replace it. Make sure it turns over before we start buying parts. That other one does turn over, so that's good. It's not froze up. Yay. All right. This is pretty grungy. Doesn't want to suck back up. But we'll give her a go. Give it a shot. Got a replacement cord here, so tie it on here. Quick tip on these bad boys. Wind it all the way up as tight as you can get it. Then tie your knot. Or fake it. What I mean by fake it is you'll run it through there, and as you're winding, just keep your string from wrapping around itself. Let the rope self-feed itself in, and then when you go to tie your knot on the outside so you don't have a floppy pull string, pull it back some, then tie your knot for your handle so that that always sits in there tightly. It's not with slack floating around as you ride it around and can get caught on something. You want it as tight as you can get it. Alrighty, now that we got our pull string back on there and tight, sucks down just how we want it. Check if this thing will turn over. Puts it back up tight, which is good. It's turning over. Sounds like it's got good compression. So now it's just a waiting game for our carbs to show up. And we'll get those slapped on there as soon as they're here. So hurry up and wait. So I was just taking a look at this air filter in the meantime. And inside the box is obviously filthy, and that's all going into your carb. Every bit of that garbage. And then I was just messing with the filter itself, and it is literally disintegrating. So it's definitely in need of replacement. And we'll get that ordered as well, just so that these things can run their best. Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Working on these little tote goats today, and we got a whole bunch of new parts to throw at them. But with that said, we know that aftermarket parts are, perfect. They fit perfect, right? Perfect. No, the first thing I noticed when I unwrapped my tank was the filler is not in either corner. Oh, that's not gonna be good. And then I also looked at the studs, and they're bent back, but you could bend those back. But then I looked at how the fitment is, and this would actually be up underneath of the seat. So that's a problem. Originally, when I was looking for a tank, I just was looking for the fitting, and the tank was cheaper than the fitting, and the wait time and lead time on one of these little plastic fittings was a lot longer than I wanted to wait. I wanted to have these done for my nephews sooner rather than later so I can move on and, feel good about it. So I'll end up probably pulling this fitting out. Hopefully it doesn't get damaged. We'll see. If nothing else, we could always cut this off and move it and re-weld it. It's a lot of work. If we can just pull this fitting off, I'd rather do that. With that, the air filters are a little different. I actually only paid for the foam that was supposed to be in here, and these showed up. But the biggest thing I noticed when I got it, I don't know how well you can see it, but those are two different sizes. They both slip on the carb how they should, but my fitting is going to be a lot smaller than this one. So I'll have to either get a different size of rubber hose to fit on there, or see if I can't just crank it down tight enough. I haven't really torn into my carbs and throttle because I'm hoping that there's no issues there, but we will see here shortly as I get these things thrown on here. So with that, I'm going to pull this tank out, run some fuel through it, clean it up, make sure it's okay. We'll pull the carb off, we'll swap out all the lines, we'll see if this thing fires up. Alrighty, now that we're ready to rock with our gas tank, gotta make sure everything else is ready to go. So we know the carb is all plugged up and gummed up and nasty in the inside. So we bought a brand new one and a throttle cable for under 20 bucks. So that twist handle will be replaced, as well as the carb. Fingers crossed that it's a good matchup, because everything else has been less than expected. Good thing, coming with new gaskets, new carb and fuel line, sweet. All right, quick comparison. And they're looking actually really good. So go ahead and swap this on here and go to that point. Alrighty, so already a little bit of a difference. I don't think it should be a problem, but this is a lot bigger piece, but it still covers the same areas, has the same cutout through here, so it should be fine. This is just kind of a lift plate, carburetor plate, spacer, and of course everything's fragile and brittle and sticky. So that's going to be a problem. The original hose had this pre-bent 90-degree in it. This doesn't. So I might have to use this line and then come up with a coupler that goes between these two, because as soon as I shove that forward, the carb shoves this line off, and I don't want that, obviously, because that's directly into the engine. I'm unsure what exactly this line does, but it does something and you don't want to just leave it off. So I'll go ahead and cut this, and a piece of pipe will work, or like a T for your washer fluid. It wouldn't be a T, but a straight. And we'll get these plumbed up so that they work. Alrighty, so what I ended up doing is just running a hose clamp on it. It seems to be holding it for now. It doesn't yank off the way it was before. But with that orifice being smaller, I wasn't able to use this tube anymore on there, so that was a problem. Anyway, now I need to bring this up onto here, but it being a smaller inside diameter, I need to heat this hose, which is a pretty useful tool when trying to get your hoses to fit on somewhere they probably shouldn't. Get them heated up, put a little lubricant, whether that's any of the name brands or some Vaseline, something that you can slip this on there, and then you can go ahead and tighten it down with your hose clamp. But you don't want to get it so hot that you start melting your hose. And just like that, it's on. It's nice and locked down. Go ahead and throw this hose clamp on there for extra surety, and you don't have to worry about it. Potential issue with the throttle. Don't want it to have a sticky throttle. So gonna have to end up zip tying this back somehow so it stays out of the way, and also off of the exhaust from the other side. Just some of the challenges you have when you're retrofitting, especially any rubber hose that's not pre-bent. But there is ways to make it work. Don't zip tie it to the muffler and have it melt. And definitely do not get it in a place where the throttle is going to stick on you. Let me show you what I came up with. So I ended up shortening this hose so that it clears my throttle, and there's no hang up at all on the hose. Not very good angle of that. Not very good light. Sorry about that. But even if I drag it this way, it can't catch on the hose. So That's good. And then I ended up running this zip tie around here to help keep it held away from the air box so that this hose always has tension on it out. Yes, I will get that hose clamp on there, don't you worry. Let's move on to the throttle cable and handle so that this can operate and we can throw that tank on there and try and fire this bad girl up. So knowing there's nothing actually wrong with my throttle cable, it's just this that's been concerning me. I'll probably just swap out just the handle and be done with it, yeah. That's what I kind of figured would happen if you twisted on the throttle too much or tried to enjoy it, hit a bump, that guaranteed was gonna come popping off there. As long as the other handle fits just the same, we should be good, but you know how things go. Projects. So, grab this throttle cable out of here, twist throttle actually, and compare the two. And they look super similar. Let's give it a shot. Well, it just says I don't wanna. Come on, little buddy. Slip that bad boy back on there. All right, that's gonna work. Let's get this gas tank on here and try and start this thing. Alrighty, got some fuel in it. Go ahead and open the fuel valve. Let the float bolt fill up rather. We'll go ahead and choke it. And moment of truth, see if this thing will fire up after sitting for years and years. Fresh carb on it. Who knows? Whoop. Ugh, I know, right? You're ruining the video. Get out of here. I want to see those mini bikes run. Me too. But it's going to happen on the next episode, and I hope you'll stick around and watch it. I promise I'll make it worth it. There is some funny outtakes from the videos that I've put at the end, so come over and enjoy them. And I hope you have a great freaking day, and I'll catch you on the next one.